We have to ask, how much is wrong with the IPF? It's April 2025 and the powerlifting world has just been shocked by some news from the IPF. The Federation has announced that it has banned almost every stiff knee sleeve that's on the market apart from SBDs. And to me, this is part of a wider issue with the IPF. After the IPF president stepped down after allegedly sexually assaulting a sex worker in South Africa, where the Commonwealth Games were being held, to this recent controversy where it seems like one of the biggest players in equipment manufacturing for the sport has heavily sponsored this federation and has just got out lucky from a ban. It seems like there's a lot wrong with the IPF at the moment. Please be advised that the knee sleeves listed below will be removed from the IPF approved list of apparel and equipment for use at IPF competitions, with immediate effect. Athletes will, however, be permitted to continue using these sleeves at IPF competitions until 18th August 2025, after which time these sleeves will not be permitted in any event sanctioned by the IPF or its regional or national affiliates. INZAs, Titan knee sleeves, Oni knee sleeves, Strength Shop 7mm Infernos, Hansu 7mm, Vortex knee sleeve 7mm, and A7 rigor mortis. The IPF has just banned every single stiff knee sleeve on the market apart from the SBD powerlifting sleeve. There is no evidence of misconduct, and I have no evidence of any misconduct. However, the amount of response that I've seen online, both in my friendship groups and on the wider powerlifting community, shows how much this tight relationship between SBD, a commercial manufacturer and seller of powerlifting goods, and the IPF, the body that dictates the rules of the sport, is. It is so troubling how close these two organizations are to each other. I personally think that the IPF could have good reasons to be banning these knee sleeves. But off the back of the misconduct of their president, who resigned less than a month ago after allegedly sexually assaulting a sex worker at the Commonwealth Games while he was acting as president of the IPF, we have to ask, how much is wrong with the IPF? We have to ask ourselves whether this federation is actually rotten to its core. Because after so much has gone wrong that the IPF seems to be doing very little about, how are we meant to trust them? Is it possible that the vast amount of financial influence that SBD, is it possible that they have influenced the IPF to make a decision that harms only their competitors? Whether or not these knee sleeves are actually legal is beyond the scope of what I'm qualified to comment on. But what I can say for sure is that they were approved for use in 2022, so 3 years ago now, for use in championships from 2023 until the end of 2026. This means that about 18 months early, people who have gone and spent their money on A7 rigor mortis knee sleeves or the INZA knee sleeves or the Strength Shop Inferno knee sleeves, spent their money expecting to be able to use these knee sleeves until at least the end of 2026. And their use is being cut 18 months early. Personally, I bought rigor mortis in January. I prefer how they feel to SBDs. They give me better proprioception, especially for depth. And yeah, I think they probably do help me a little bit with leg extension. Maybe there is an argument that they're delivering too much additional strength to a lifter. But that doesn't matter, because what matters is they were approved until the end of 2026. And this approval has been rescinded without any real clear technical explanation from the IPF. Let me read to you the exact wording of what the IPF said. According to analysis commissioned by the IPF and undertaken by an independent laboratory, the above knee sleeves do not comply with being made of neoprene as defined in the IPF technical rules, i.e., the sleeves must be constructed entirely of a single ply of neoprene or predominantly of a single ply of neoprene plus a non-supportive single layer of fabric over the neoprene. No one can say anything for sure at this point. But I think the wider powerlifting community especially the IPF lifters, need to ask their regional representatives and the wider IPF some serious questions about how this decision was made and how future decisions like it will be made. And what's more is I think they need to ask some serious questions about how the financial influence of SBD is affecting rulemaking in the sport. From Article 14 to the bench depth rules, it seems like they've made a lot of missteps in recent times, and maybe this is a decision that they'll go back on. But the cat's out of the bag. You've opened Pandora's box. Everyone now on is going to question every decision the IPF makes with more scrutiny and honestly more cynicism coming for the leadership there. I think the way that this has been carried out is unacceptable fundamentally. And this is not just me having cope because rigor mortis helped me, okay? Like, I swear to fuck, I think this is ethically dubious at best. We do not know. I'd like to really stress, I do not know. I really don't think that there are many people out there who know if SBD actually have the kind of influence that so many people fear that it does. But the IPF has a responsibility at this point to reassure us that that's not so. And to be honest, I don't think that they're doing that. I don't think they're doing it well enough. I am legitimately worried that the IPF is corrupt, like actually corrupt. And to me, that's a death knell for the sport. But what's clear is two things. The IPF needs better oversight and more transparency. And we need to ask some serious questions about the relationship between SBD and the IPF. Let's talk a little bit about some more technical details though. So first of all, I'd like to address the controversy about the resignation of the IPF president. The IPF president, the former IPF president, is alleged to have had unconsensual sex with, or sexually assaulted, raped, a sex worker in South Africa while he was there for the Commonwealth Games. Bear in mind that in South Africa, prostitution and sex work is generally illegal. So what is being alleged against him is more than one serious crime that many would describe as a sexual offence. The IPF wrote a statement on their website just saying that the man stepped down and thanking him for his service to the sport. I think that's inappropriate to not address this speculation, which seems, it was alleged and then he resigned. I mean, call me crazy, but to have not really properly addressed this is unbelievable to me. And to thank him for the time and the good he's done for the sport, he hasn't done good for the sport. He has damaged the sport. The sport is now in disrepute because the president of the governing body of the sport is alleged to have done these things. That is, unforgivable. But also the fact that the IPF hasn't released a statement. I understand it's difficult, it's political, but I'd rather my governing body does the right thing than protects their own self-interest, especially when it's so important like this. It's so important, and they've said nothing. The second thing I want to talk about is why I think the rigs have been banned, actually. It's nothing to do with the shape or the construction or the main materials used to make it. It is reported, again, by scattered people, unfortunately there isn't serious investigative journalism within powerlifting yet, that when A7 make their rigor mortis knee sleeves, they use a special spray, a special coating that helps stiffen up the neoprene. And the thinking is that the reason the IPF has banned it is because this special coating makes the neoprene not neoprene by their definitions. It's hard to understand where they're coming from, it's hard to understand what they're doing, it's hard to understand what they're trying to achieve with this. If their fear is that rigor mortis knee sleeves and other knee sleeves like it give too much advantage to lifters, then why have no world records been set in them? In the IPF, almost every squat record is held by someone wearing SBDs. If the problem is they do give an advantage, that rigor mortis and these other knee sleeves like them do give an advantage, and it's not fair on lifters sponsored by national teams, then the problem is that the sponsorships don't allow them to use the best equipment. And the problem is that SBD hasn't made a proper competitor to these products. Imagine if in any other industry, any other sport, companies, dozens of companies, you know, there are 8 knee sleeves odd, banned. You know, these 8 companies have all made better products, similarly better products than SBD, the sort of big name in the business that sponsors the sport. And instead of SBD being expected to rise up to meet this engineering and innovation challenge, everybody else is regulated against to bring them back down to SBD's level. I mean, it's insane, right? It is insane. It's crazy. It's unheard of. It would be a huge scandal in every other sport, and I hope that the community of powerlifting can do enough to kick up enough fuss to make this a problem for SBD and the IPF. I think this behaviour seems to be predatory. It seems to be monopolistic. Without hard evidence, it's hard to say, you know, there should be anti-competitive law sanctions against this company and against this relationship between the IPF and SBD. But to people who care about the sport, who deeply care about the sport, who are involved in the sport and are as educated as they can be, despite the IPF and SBD having pretty tight lips about what they're doing, just go and look at SBD's most recent post and look at the comments on that. You know, it's the people aren't happy for good reason. This video is a bit ranty, and I'd like to stress, you know, there is very little actual information that comes from reputable sources on this. So much of the news that we get through powerlifting is hearsay, but you know, I think especially when it comes to the knee sleeves, the discussion is not so much about what it is, but how it seems and the fears of the people. And the fact that nothing's been done to reassure us. People have been saying for a long time, I've been saying for a long time, that the relationship between SBD and the IPF is not good for the sport. It's corrosive. It's so obviously open to corruption and to, you know, let's face it, a pretty large player in the space manipulating the sport for their own financial gain. That is how it's set up. It is so easy for them to do this that when something like this happens, everyone assumes that that is what's happened. Yes, I can't believe SBD has pressured them into doing this. That is the default assumption. It's insane. Insane. I'd also like to mention at the end of this video, I'm now an elected official of a powerlifting club. This is not an official statement from that club. This is representation of my views and criticism that comes from me personally. These are my opinions about these alleged circumstances which have happened with the IPF. They're not representative of the club, they're not representative of British powerlifting's opinion, they're not representative of any of that. I just feel like, as an individual who cares, it is my duty to talk about it honestly, because I don't see enough people being honest in this space. Anyway, I just shaved my beard and I feel like I look pretty dashing, so apologies if you feel like I haven't been giving you eye contact. I've just been staring at myself in my camera's monitor going, whoa, what a handsome chappy. Anyway, toodles, ka-chow.